Hey, welcome to the stream. Hey, welcome to the stream, guys. If anybody's actually here, say hi in the chat if you're here. Alright, so I'm gonna wait here just a couple minutes. Got the stream pulled up of the Gaza Strip live stream. And I will jump into the news here in a second. Alright, I'm just gonna start here. Alright, so for the breaking news for today is October 10th, or sorry, it's 10/26, so October 26, 2023. I'm sure all of y'all have heard about the shooter in Maine. It's a bad deal. 18 dead, 13 injured, and the suspect is still on the loose. Just came over the news that they thought they had him surrounded at his home, which is odd. After 24 hours they find him at his home, but it seems as though he isn't there, so he is still at large. Moving on, the hurricane that hit Mexico. Hurricane, what was it called? Hurricane Otis. Massive destruction or devastation in Mexico, 27 dead. You can see a couple pictures here. That's a kind of a crazy picture. I can't tell if that's a tree or a root ball. Anyway, there's massive flooding. 27 confirmed dead at this point, probably more, especially if the flooding gets worse. And we are going to move on and jump into Ukraine. Oh, sorry. This is part of the general news part. This is by OSINT Defender. He reported both the government of Turkey and Egypt have begun constructing several field hospitals in the northern Sinai Peninsula near the Egyptian border with the Gaza Strip, with medical professionals and supplies from Turkey already having begun to arrive in Egypt. These hospitals are being established and will be used in case of a mass exodus of Palestinians from Gaza due to the Israeli invasion of the Strip. So that's pretty big news, because Egypt is pretty picky on who they're letting through their border. So something's going to be changing if they're gonna let a mass amount of Palestinians come across the border. It caught me by surprise because generally Egypt doesn't want the Palestinians. Jordan doesn't want the Palestinians. I think the only person I've heard say they want the Palestinians is some people in the U.S. government. Not all of them, a couple, and that's just crazy to me. Alright, moving on. Alright, so this is big news. This is being reported on by the BBC. Ukraine war, Russia executing their own retreating soldiers, says U.S. says. The article starts, Russia is executing soldiers who try to retreat from a bloody offensive in eastern Ukraine, the White House has said. According to the U.S., some of the casualties suffered by Russia near Avdiivka were on the orders of their own leaders. Russian and Ukraine troops have been locked into a fierce battle for the frontline town since mid-October. And if you've been following the channel, you'll know I've been posting a lot of combat footage from that region. Russia is thought to have suffered significant losses in this time. Ukrainian estimates put the number of Russian casualties in Avdiivka at 5,000, while the U.S. says that Russia lost at least 125 armored vehicles and more than a battalion's worth of equipment. And we're going to go over the map here. I'm using a new map for Ukraine today, and I think y'all will really enjoy it. It's a lot more detailed. So I'm going to skip down here. Avdiivka has been all but abandoned by its 30,000 residents as Russian forces continue to pummel it. Earlier this week, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky described the situation as particularly tough. Alright, moving on to the next bit. Slovakia swears in a new cabinet led by a populist ex-premier who opposes support for Ukraine, and most of these stories are being reported on by most major news outlets. This one is by the AP. So, coming out of Bratislava, Slovakia, Slovakia's president swore in a new government Wednesday, led by former populist prime minister, poised to end the country's military aid for Ukraine as it fights Russia's invasion. Robert Fico returned to power and took over as prime minister for the fourth time after his leftist Smer or Direction Party won Slovakia's 30 parliamentary elections. The party won 42 seats in the 150-seat parliament after campaigning on a pro-Russia and anti-American platform. Today you just don't take over power, but naturally also responsibility for the republic and its citizens. Today you just don't take over power, but naturally also responsibly for the republic and its citizens. I don't know if that didn't make sense to me, that sentence. The president told the new cabinet. I'm not going to go any farther, but so we've got another a small Eastern European country whose official position now is going to be against the West, siding with Russia. And really currently the only other country I can think of is let's see, Belarus. Why I couldn't think of that. So Belarus is really Russia's only Eastern European ally. Hungary is a little, kind of in the middle there. Austria's got different views compared to the rest of Western Europe. But now Slovakia. Alright, so this is the war map I was talking about for Ukraine. We're going to jump into that here in just a minute. Alright, another big story. Moscow thermal plant catches fire. So this is in Moscow. This is a thermal plant, obviously, as the title says. So in the US, it's not well known. It might be on the East Coast, but like here in the Midwest and the West Coast, we don't heat this way. We have electric or gas heaters. In Russia, their primary source of heat are like these coal or gas-fired heat plants. So they have a central plant. Water comes in, they heat the water, and they send that water via pipes to residents and buildings to heat the buildings. And most of Russia, and actually that whole part of the world, is heated this way. A fire broke out at a large thermal power plant in Moscow on October 26, Russia Power Generating Company. The power station provides heat and electricity to industrial facilities and households in the city's northwest part with a population of over 1.5 million. According to Montenegro, one of the station's boilers caught fire at around 3:30 p.m. local time, and it was extinguished less than an hour later. There were no casualties and energy cut off as a result of the fire, the company wrote, adding that the station's roof didn't collapse. The reason for the incident are still being determined. So the reason he just said, adding that the station's roof didn't collapse, is because they're around all over social media. There's video and pictures of this plant with a big corner of it missing, like a missile hit it or something. So that's kind of odd that he added that. Alright, moving on. Still in Ukraine news, the U.S. supply aid ATACMS to Ukraine is already a failure as Washington's support for Kiev falls short of its armed forces' tactical needs heading into the tough winter months, according to one account. Ukraine should have been given enough to saturate all Russian airfields in Russian-controlled Ukraine, U.S. historian Philip P. O'Brien said in an X post. Russia was given time to react, said O'Brien, professor of strategic studies at the University of St. Andrews, UK. A failure, he added. And I reported on this, the first uses of ATACMS. If y'all, I think it's a short, if y'all haven't seen it. Ukraine debuted its newly provided long-range Army tactical missile system, missiles, also known as ATACMS, in twin strikes on Russian air bases earlier this month. Ukraine targeted facilities in the southern Ukrainian city of Berdyansk and Zaporizhia, and Luhansk in eastern Ukraine. Berdyansk in Zaporizhia and Luhansk in eastern Ukraine. Both regions are officially annexed by Russia, along with Donetsk and Kherson, but Moscow does not exert full control over the regions. So the reason I bring this up is one of the ATACMS hit an airfield and it had some reports say 22, some say only 6 were damaged, some say all 22 were damaged, with 6 burnt to the ground of the Russian helicopter. Can't remember what the terminology is for it. Ukraine destroys 9 Russian helicopters, as well as several other pieces of equipment, including an ammunition depot, an anti-aircraft launcher, and runways at the facility. Ukraine's Special Operations Forces said, in the wake of the strikes, open-source intelligence reports later suggested that Ukraine may have damaged up to 21 Russian helicopters. Now it's bothering me. I want to say it's the SA-58 helicopter, but I may be wrong. Hey, Dr. Proc. Thanks for joining. Crap. Sorry, one second. Yeah, Rusky Chopper. Thank you, Sarcasm. And welcome. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all you guys, really. It's been a real roller coaster, this new channel, but I'm having a lot of fun. And I hope to keep it up. I will, as long as I have somebody watching. So I'd like to do more of these live streams with you guys, and interact a little more. It's kind of one-sided when I'm putting out content, and then I get likes and stuff, and a few comments here and there, but yeah, thank you. Alright. Let's move on to the next story. Okay, we're going to go to the map. So I was browsing for a better map, and I've got to give credit to these guys. This is an OSINT group. They have a Discord. I encourage you to join it. Let me see if let me pull up the what that Discord is. Okay, it's called Project Owl. You can search it. They have 35,000 members. It's a great Discord. Here, I don't want to show that. Yeah. So right here at Project Owl OSINT in Discord, and you'll find it. Oh, there's a link right there. So if you go into Discord/Project Owl, they have a ton of media and stuff coming off the front line, like as soon as it gets uploaded. So, all right, let's move on into this map. How do I get rid of this? How about now? Okay, it's showing my mic's working. Let me know if you can't hear me. Be bad, I'm just talking on. How do I get rid of this here? Alright. So this map, it shows where the last... I'm sure there's a delay because they can't show where a unit is specifically. Okay, thank you, sarcasm. But it shows where the units were probably within the last week. So this is 7/21. Where's the... So 9/13 for this unit was their last known location. So like this is a rapid response unit based here out of Kherson. And you can see when I back out here, so the front lines along the Dnipro, and you can see where the main battles are, or where the main contention is. So right here around Dnipro, where the river kind of thins out, you know, there's bridgeheads here, so you've got a ton of Russian units. Same with the Ukrainians on the other side, but here where the water gets, you know, wider, they have less units, which makes sense militarily. Moving on up here. So Robotyne is a big battle right now. It's not the biggest, but this map you can see drones of the 47th Mech unit hit Russians in the trench, and then they have links to the report or even a video of that incident. Ukrainian armored vehicle, probably BMP, hit northeast. It's really cool. Anyway, so we're going to move up the line. The main fight that's being reported right now, up here, Avdiivka. It's all over the news, right? And the Ukrainians are making small gains, and this is where the main battle is, right here. There's a big trash heap, and I don't know how much y'all pay attention to like Twitter or whatever, but the fighting over this piece of ground right here has been insane. It's, imagine like a landfill type of area. So it's higher ground, and the rest of this is all flat ground. So it gives whoever has it an advantage. That's why it's strategically important. So units have been fighting over this, and there's lots of video coming out of it. So Omega Unit 5 is here, which is a Special Forces task force group of the Ukrainian forces. They also have another third separate special purpose regiment. They've also got border police up here, which I thought was interesting. You'd think they would use the border police up on the northern border where you know, there might be some skirmishes or artillery around hit here and there, but not the big battles. But they've got them down here. We'll look at a few of the Russian units that are back here. I don't know what a Vol unit is. Ugra Battalion. If anybody knows what that unit is, let me know in the comments. 6th Motor Rifle Regiment. DPR's 185th Battalion. Look how many units here that the Russians have. So they're trying to keep Donetsk, the town or the city of Donetsk, right? Now, the old lines from 2014 when Russia invaded the first time. I have pictures, and I'll see if I can find them. I'll post them. There's old trench lines that come all through here from the original 2014 war. Now, that's kind of where the line is now. So the Ukrainians have taken all that ground back, and they're working on taking the airport. And I also think I have some pictures of the airport, which you can see on this. So this is the most recent Google map, and these are this is the main terminal of the airport, and it's completely destroyed. But it has been since 2014. And you've probably actually seen some content of guys walking through this building. It's all open. There's no sides to it anymore. It's completely gone. These are the old, you know, the planes pull up and the thing comes out, the walkway. That's what those are, destroyed completely. You can look like out here. See, these are the old trenches from 2014. These aren't new. These have been here for years. And you can bet your ass they're still using them. It's a lot easier to use an old trench than build a new one. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. I'll try to get those pictures and I'll make a post or something, community post with them. Let's see. So something I was thinking about when I was on this map and thinking about what I was going to talk about. I'm wondering what if the Ukrainians aren't going to have, if you don't see a big operation up north of Avdiivka in the next couple weeks, moving south. And I think they will try to encircle the units here north of Avdiivka. So keep an eye on that. If it happens, you know where you heard it. I don't even know. I don't know how to pronounce that. Klishivka. So this is farther up the Dnipro River, south of Bakhmut, and look how many units are here. Like there's a whole Ukrainian army and a whole Russian army ready to go at it, which Bakhmut's been in the news for a long time too. But all this yellow is recently gained territory. So Ukrainian Bakhmut Donetsk counter attacks mid-May 2023 onward. So all this yellow is new ground taken. And it's funny having these pockets like this. You can tell where, you know, the Ukrainian line has come down. I'll try to get an old map next time I stream, like from say a month ago, and we'll see how far they've gone. I don't have that ability at the moment, but something else I wanted to show. Look how many artillery brigades are here behind the Russian lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 just right here within maybe 40 or 50 miles of the line. That's what the Ukrainians are having to deal with. But the Russians on the other hand, are more dealing with the drones, the HIMARS. So they'll send Artie over, and the Ukrainians, which the U.S. has taught them how to do the counter battery, so they'll send, a drone over or a HIMARS around. Anyway, that's the new map I wanted to show you guys. Thought it was a really good map, and I really encourage you to go to the OWL project. It even shows, like here, Sevastopol, like what ships are here, are known to be here. So this is the Bora class guided missile corvette. That's the same. It must have moved and then they put a new tag down. Tarantul 3 missile corvette. Ladney guided or class guided missile frigate. Or Pooch class landing ship. And then you can also see they've even got intel on these ships sitting back towards the strait. Minesweeper, and then there's another corvette here, I think. Yeah, guided missile corvette. I don't know what that is. A-50 AWACS. Huh. Yeah, anyway, there's the link. So, maybe not a link. Search the OWL project and you'll be able to find it. Alright, let's move on. Okay, we're moving into Israeli news now. Alright, so we're still waiting on the promised invasion. There's many reasons or speculation being thrown around about why they haven't gone in, which some of it's probably pretty close. U.S. requesting that the Ukrainians hold until we try to get the civilian hostages back. But I think so Qatar, the leaders of Hamas, are living in luxury in Qatar. So basically all the money the U.S. has given to the Gaza Strip for the citizens of Gaza to improve their lives has gone to these Hamas leaders that are in the penthouse in Qatar. And it's hard for me to believe that the U.S. government would ask the Israelis to hold their assault so that they can talk to people harboring terrorists. It is what it is. So last night, I reported on this. I don't know if y'all saw the video. If you didn't, go check it out. It's a short of night vision surveillance of the Israeli column that went into Gaza. So this is being reported on by The Guardian. Israeli forces entered a new phase of the war. Sorry, I keep having something beep over here. I'm trying to figure out what it is. Israeli forces entered a new phase of the war against Hamas in Gaza on Thursday, launching a substantial but limited raid into the coastal strip in what was described as a probing action in preparation for a more substantial ground offensive. And, as we know, the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said in the news that they were going to carry out the offensive soon. So these are, I'm guessing, preliminary attacks into Gaza to soften up targets. Alright, so this is Otis Defender. Heavy fighting between IDF ground forces and militants is continuing to occur near Al-Boraj camp along the border fence with central Gaza Strip. While Israeli fixed-wing aircraft and AH-64 Apaches attack helicopters are now reported to be actively engaging targets near the fence. That was just at 5:30 p.m. here, so 2.5 hours ago. Moving on, this is the Pentagon press briefing. Let me pull up my notes so I can read from them. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the main points. Alright, so the Pentagon restated that the main goal of the Pentagon was to protect civilians and to protect U.S. forces around the globe. So that was their main priority. 2 Iron Dome missile systems have been sent from the U.S. to aid Israel. They haven't made it there yet, but that is ongoing. 900 troops deployed to U.S. Central Command. So these were troops that were already scheduled to be moved to a forward deployed area. They are not in Israel. They were adamant about that. They're going to other places. They're made up of the THAAD missile system from Fort Bliss, the Patriot missile system out of Fort Sill, Patriot and Avengers from Liberty, North Carolina, and a headquarter element from Fort Bliss, and they are not going to Israel. They also announced the $150 million in equipment to be sent to Ukraine. It consists of air defenses, ammunition, artillery, anti-tank weapons, and other equipment. They also mentioned that they released the 2022 suicide report. I haven't looked at it yet, but I intend to. I wanted to mention it here just because it's new news, important. So that's a suicide report for the U.S. military for the fiscal year 2022. Alright, October 17th through the 26th, U.S. bases attacked 12 times in Iraq and 4 times in Syria. And the U.S. knows that the groups affiliated, or the groups that attacked the bases are affiliated with Iran. Alright, moving on from that. Alright. So this is from the Institute for War, the Institute for the Study of War. We're just going to go over the key takeaways. Iran and its so-called axis of World War II stuff popping in my head. Axis of resistance are pursuing a coordinated strategy to deter Israel from trying to destroy Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Further to that, prevent Israel from destroying Hamas if deterrence fails. And tertiary to that, deter the United States from providing military support for Israeli ground operations in the Gaza Strip. 2. Hamas is conducting attacks targeting population centers and conducting an information operation to erode the will of Israel's political establishment and public to launch and sustain a major ground operation into the Gaza Strip. 3. Palestinian militias are trying to drive anti-Israel unrest in the West Bank to draw the IDF assets and resources and fix them there. 4. The axis of resistance is harassing IDF forces with indirect and direct fire along the Israel-Lebanon border, which aims to draw IDF assets and resources toward northern Israel while setting conditions for successive campaigns into Israel. Iran and the axis of resistance are trying to demonstrate their capability and willingness to escalate against the United States and Israel from multiple fronts. Iranian and axis of resistance leaders will need to adjust their strategy and subordinate campaigns if Israel launches a major ground operation into Gaza Strip. Palestinian militias continue attacks at usual rate from Gaza Strip into Israel. Hamas fired 2 long-range rockets, Haifa and Al-Eilat, as part of its effort to erode the Israeli political establishment's will to support a ground operation into Gaza. West Bank residents demonstrated and took up arms against the IDF in response to calls from the Lion's Den, an Iran-linked West Bank militia. So this is pretty big. So these Iran-backed militias are in the West Bank actively trying to promote violence and an uprising against Israel in the West Bank. The IDF conducted airstrikes against 2 Syrian military positions in southwest Syria on October 24th and an airstrike on the Aleppo International Airport runway on October 25th. Militants are likely to respond with indirect fire attacks, which is the consistent response pattern to Israeli airstrikes in Syria since the war began. The Islamic resistance in Iraq claimed 2 attacks targeting U.S. forces based at Abu Hajar Airport, Haskara Province, Syria on October 24th and 5th. Hamas, LH, and PIJ appear to be coordinating and making final contingency preparations ahead of an Israeli invasion of Gaza. Alright, moving on. There's a news article. Hamas came out and offered to trade the 250 hostages for 6,000 Palestinian terrorist prisoners being held by Israel. That does not sound like a fair trade to me. They said that they would not stop resisting until these demands were met, and they wouldn't release the prisoners until those demands were met. Moving on from that, U.S. military shoots down missiles and drones as it faces growing threats in volatile Middle East. This is an AP article. This is the USS Carney. I've already reported on it, and I'm sure y'all know. So the Houthi rebels in Yemen fired several ballistic missiles and a ton of drones, and along with USS Carney, the Saudis also shot them down. Okay, going on. Alright, so we're just going to jump into the map real quick. We're not going to spend too much time because we've kind of already gone over it all. Let's see what they're saying. About 74 trucks have gotten into Gaza with humanitarian aid in the last 24 hours. So that's over the Rafah crossing. 12 dead in an Israeli bombing that targeted a house in Shabura camp in Rafah, south of the Gaza Strip, or South Gaza Strip. Let's see, moving on. Israeli army tonight carried out an unusual and extensive ground raid of infantry and armored forces inside the Gaza Strip. The raid was larger in scope and depth inside Gaza. Its purpose is to attack Hamas targets from within the Strip and strengthen the defense. This is a more extensive operation than the raids carried out so far in the last 2 weeks in the Gaza Strip. They're talking about that raid that we reported on. Artillery shelling, more artillery shelling. Let's see. Hamas has claimed that it hit an Israeli helicopter using a shoulder-fired anti-missile, a Strela. The Israeli military says it spotted an attempt to fire at a helicopter, but no hit. So this is interesting because they're not supposed to have many munitions like this. And the Strela is one of the original shoulder-fired anti-air rockets from the Russians. Or the Soviet Union. Violent Israel raids on the Gaza Strip. If the enemy enters by land, it will be a new and glorious page for our people. A historic and unprecedented defeat for the occupation. So that's the deputy head of the political bureau of Hamas. And he says a historic and unprecedented defeat for the occupation. They have no idea what kind of heat's coming down on them. The aid to enter Gaza is a drop in the bucket. Bombings. Large barrage of rockets. So, like every 4 hours, there's a huge barrage of rockets coming out of Gaza. heading into Israel. And that's what the whole offensive is going to be trying to stop, is those kind of attacks, right? And to make sure that something like October 7th never happens again. Alright, let's just check up here real quick. The number of Hezbollah members killed in Israeli army strikes in southern Lebanon amid the Gaza war reaches at least 45. Israeli army drops flares in the airspace of Wadi Hunin, opposite the town of Markaba and Rab Thailand. Alright, we're going to go ahead and move on. So next is going to be, I want to talk a little bit about Iran real quick. So Iran announced military maneuvers for large portions of its military. So they did this in response to U.S. criticism of them supporting terrorist groups. And it's kind of a big deal because it'll show that they do have a fairly capable military. I also just wanted to mention the U.S. Navy right now has a huge presence outside or around Iran. Like, say they tried to take out the Carney destroyer, they would have no chance. Those missiles would be shot out of the air. They just wouldn't have a chance. There's so much firepower down there right now. Alright. Moving on to China. Chinese fighter jet nearly collides with American B-52 bomber over the South China Sea, U.S. officials. So this was reported today. This is ABC. All the main news outlets reported it. A Chinese fighter pilot nearly crashed into an American B-52 bomber over South China Sea during a nighttime intercept on Tuesday, according to U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. The Chinese pilot demonstrated poor airmanship in his J-11 jet, flying within just 10 feet of the B-52 with uncontrolled excessive speeds, putting both planes in danger of colliding, according to U.S. officials. So there's the J-10, and there's actually video out there. I'm not going to pull it up right now, but video of it getting within 10 feet of the wing of the B-52, which is just crazy. Alright, moving on. I also reported it. I didn't report it. Yeah, okay. So, this is on routers. This is earlier in the week, October 23rd. The Philippines on Monday accused Chinese Coast Guard vessel of intentionally colliding with its vessel on a resupply mission in a disputed part of the South China Sea. As ties deteriorate between Southeast Asia, U.S. As ties deteriorate between the Southeast Asian U.S. ally and Beijing, both sides traded accusations after the latest incident on Sunday, which was the most serious yet in the waters around the disputed Second Thomas Shoal, though no one was harmed. Right. I just wanted to show this. This is footage. Oh, this is the footage of the B-52. It's out of place. So it's within the wing of the B-52 is right there. And that jet got within 10 feet. So watch, you'll see the wing of the B-52 come in. This is an exterior thermal camera. See it right here? This is the wing. It's just crazy. So unsafe, and it'll cause an international incident. That's why it's a big deal. Alright, there's more reports of the 6 China ships in the Middle East. It is a big deal that they have firepower, or that kind of firepower in the region. They've maintained a military presence in the southern Middle East region for years. They have a base in Djibouti, but having 6 warships there is out of character. It was also reported today. I couldn't find a main news article source on it. It was reported by one of the OSINTs uh, one of the Chinese aircraft carriers was reported moving into the West Pacific. Let's see. All right. So, lastly, a couple of my thoughts. So, Israel needs to be careful here, and I'm sure y'all have seen this talked about by other military YouTubers. I've reported that that the U.S. has sent a Marine general to Israel in order to give advice to the Israelis. And he's not there to command, he's not there to do any of that, but the Israelis should be asking what mistakes did y'all make and learn from when you went into places like Fallujah, right? That's what that general is there to do, is to answer those types of questions and try to keep the Israelis from making the same mistakes that the U.S. did in our wars in the Middle East. Now, something else I think that needs to be talked about, the U.S. needs to make sure that Iran knows the U.S. will retaliate for the attacks that they are supporting against our bases. If we allow them to keep attacking our bases without responding, it's just going to continue to escalate. This never happened 4 years ago. People knew that, or these groups knew that if they sent a drone to one of our military bases in Iraq, that they were going to answer for it. And for some reason, right now, that's not the case. They feel like they can get away with it. So one last thing, something else the Israelis really need to pay attention to is what happens after the invasion. Preston Stewart, I watch him daily. He had a very good video that came out today, and I encourage you to go to it and watch it. What happens after Israel invades Gaza, clears out everybody that they think is a terrorist, and finishes that operation? Then what? What happens? Do they pull back out, rebuild the wall, and wait for this to happen again in 10 to 12 years? Do they kill every do they kill every military age male? Do they what happens? And then something else, like the bombings that they're doing now, or over this last week, which have been crazy. They've dropped more ordnance in this 120 square mile or whatever it is piece of land, and that's more than the U.S. dropped in years in our wars over Afghanistan and Iraq. So they're leveling whole blocks of this city, and these kids that live there are seeing this, and they've already been trained basically to hate Israel and the West. What are they thinking with this? Especially if their parents are killed, or their dad's killed, or their uncle or grandfather or whatever, or brother or sister. It's just going to make them a whole new generation of terrorists. So I don't know what the right answer is, and Preston put it really well, way more eloquent than I am. But I don't know what the right answer. He doesn't know what the right answer. I'm sure the Pentagon doesn't know what the right answer is, but I don't think this is it. And I agree with Preston Stewart. I think y'all should go check him out if you haven't already. So Lastly, number 2, go follow Preston. He doesn't know me, but he's a good creator. Go check him out. There's one more I want you to check out. Let me see. I'm so bad with names. Willie, where is it? His name's Willie. Willie OAM. Y'all really should go check him out. I'll pull it up here on the screen. Go follow Willie. So he's been on Speak for Truth a lot. He's currently in Israel and he live streams a lot. He's awesome. I highly recommend you go watch his live streams and his videos and give him all the love he needs. He's previously reported in Ukraine, and he's currently in Israel on the ground. His perspectives are really good, so go check him out. He didn't know me either. These are just YouTubers I really like. I think y'all should like them too. So anyway, thank you for watching. Please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe, share. It really helps me out. I'm really trying to grow and gain an audience. I know these aren't perfect, and my videos aren't either, but I'm really working hard to make sure I'm giving you the right information and as biased as I can be. Everybody's biased. So, thank you again, and I think that's going to do it for today. Y'all have a good night. Be safe. Keep your eyes open. And follow me for any breaking content. We will see you around.